To do the unit circle for the senior final, if you missed too many days, 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, 0, negative 1. Those you got to know really well. And then everything else goes pretty quickly. Every other coordinate has a 2 underneath of it. Notice I was being kind. I put the 1/2 there. So come along here and put a 2 underneath everything. Now I can do this pretty quickly. I'm actually doing it slow for the video's sake. So you're going to put a 2 underneath every one of these coordinates. Now over here in quadrant 1, to the right is a 0. So I go up and it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. And then coming back down the other direction is going to be 1, 2, 3 in the other direction. So I go 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you square root everything but the ones. And that's quadrant 1 for the coordinates. Quadrant 2. This is going to be negative, positive. So the 0's on the right. 0's on the right. 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Square root everything but the ones. And the x value is going to get a negative in front of it. So that's the coordinates for quadrant 2. Quadrant 3. 0 on the right. 0 on the right. 0, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Square root everything but the ones. Quadrant 3. Everything is negative. The x value and the y value. So I put a negative in front of the x and a negative in front of the y for each of these coordinates. Quadrant IV. Quadrant IV. That's quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. Now let's take a look. See how we have the 0 on the right? The 0 on the right, 0 on the right, 0. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Square root everything but the ones. In quadrant 4, it's positive, negative, so the y value gets a negative. Now we're going to deal with the degrees. Notice I have it highlighted for you, and that's just a little helpful. We're going to skip those highlighted sections. This is 0 degrees, and then we just add 30. Add 30, skip the highlighted section. Add 30, that's 60. Add 30, that's 90. Add 30 to 90, that's 120. Skip the highlighted section. Add 30, that's 150. Add 30, that's 180, and I have that one written down for you already. Add 30 to 180, that's 210. Skip the shaded section. Add 30, that's 240. 240 plus 30 is 270. Plus 30 is 300. Plus 30, I skipped the shaded section. Plus 30 is 330. And it should be 360 degrees all the way around, full circle. Now to get this spot, just 30 plus 60 divided by 2, or half of 90. See the 90? Half of 90 is 45. So you just add 15 to that 30. So we're just going to add 15 to 120. 120 plus 15 is going to give me 135. Then in quadrant 3, 210 plus 15 is going to give me 225. And then 300 plus 15 is going to give me 315. Now to get the radians, again, we're going to skip over the shaded spots. This one you need to know. This one here is pi over 6. 0 radians, 1 pi over 6. Skip the shaded region, 2 pi over 6. 3 pi over 6. 4 pi over 6. Skip the shaded region, 5 pi over 6. 6 pi over 6, I'm going to write it down. I already have it there for you. 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6. Notice I skipped the shaded region. 9 pi over 6. 10 pi over 6. Skip the shaded region, 11 pi over 6. 12 pi over 6 will simplify to 2 pi. This 4 in the 45 is my memory mnemonic that this is 1 pi over 4. And then I'm going to do 1, 3, 5, 7. I'm going to do 1 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4. And that's the unit circle for the senior final. The other thing for the senior final is the big trig table, the big trig chart. I have all the negatives in there for you, and I have a couple of the difficult values, but everything else you're on your own. Notice I have all the degrees and radians along the top. So if you needed to, you could have used this to help you out on this side with the unit circle. See the pi over 6, 0, and then pi over 6. You could have used this over here to give you that as a clue that this is 0, and then 30 degrees is pi over 6, if you'll zoom in and take a look. Now, I have methods to do this. I also have 0 and 1 here, so you can test your first values. As you're taking the final, you're going to want to be 100% confident that you're getting the answer correct, and it is calculator active. So I'm going to show you how to generate the first row just using the calculator. First things first, as you're using the calculator, you want to turn it on, then hit shift mode 3 to be in degree mode, shift mode 3. And then you're going to type in sine of 0. So hit the sign button right here, and then type in 0. Don't even have to close it, hit equals. It's 0. Then we're going to do sine of 30 degrees. So sine 30, hit equals. This spot here is 1/2. So now we can get going really fast. I'm going to start typing them in. So now I want to do sine of 45. So sine 45, hit equals, root 2 over 2. Sine of 60, sine 60, hit equals, root 3 over 2. Next one is sine of 90, sine of 90. So I'm going to type that in. Sine 90, 1. So that's going to equal 1. Sine of 120, sine of 120, hit equals, root 3 over 2. Sine of 135, sine of 135, hit equals, root 2 over 2. So they're going to start to repeat. And there's a pattern, but you just want to get this correct on the calculator as best you can. So the next one is sine of 150, sine of 150 degrees. So sine 150, it equals 1/2. Sine 180, so sine 180, let's see what that kicks out. 0. Sine of 210, sine 210, it equals -1/2. And I already have the negative there for you. Sine of 225, sine 225, whoops. Negative root 2 over 2. I already have the negative there for you. Sine of 240, it equals negative root 3 over 2. Sine of 270, sine of 270. And that's going to be -1. Sine of 300, it equals negative root 3 over 2. Sine of 7 pi over 4, or sine of 300. Oh, I already did sine of 300. Yeah, sine of 300. Now I'm going to do sine of 315. Sine 315, negative root 2 over 2. Sine of 330, -1/2. And you would do the same process for cosine and tangent. But notice when you do tangent of 0, it's going to be a little confusing. So I'm going to do the tangent button. Tangent, 0, and, oh, it's 0. That's okay. It's this one, tangent of 90. So I'm going to type in tangent of 90. Tan 90, and it says error, go to. That means tangent of 90 is going to be undefined. It's going to equal undefined. It's a little tricky. And using the calculator, you can generate the cosine row and the tangent row. Now, to get the cosecant row, you need to have the sine row. So all you're going to do is take a look at the cosecant row. And I have 0 up here. And I want cosecant. So I'm just going to type in that 0. And then you're going to hit this fancy button called x to the negative 1. It's going to flip that. And notice, when you hit equals, it gives you the error message. That means cosecant of 0 is undefined. And think about it. Cosecant is 1 over sine. So 1 divided by 0 is undefined. So I'm going to type in 1/2 and then hit the x to the negative 1 button. So I'm going to AC this out. I'm going to type in 1 divided by 2. And then I'm going to hit that button, that x to the negative 1 button, hit equals, and it kicks out the answer, 2. So this spot here is 2. Now I'm going to type in root 2 over 2, hit the x to the negative 1 button, and see if it gives me that correct answer. So I'm going to type in square root 2, down arrow 2, right arrow, and then I want to hit the x to the negative 1, and boom, it gives me the root 2. It'll do the same thing for root 3 over 2. So I'm just going to back arrow and change that 2 inside there to a 3. So root 3 over 2, x to the negative 1, it equals, and it gives me 2 root 3 over 3. 2 root 3 over 3. You're going to type in the 1, hit x to the negative 1, and it gives me 1. So I have my cosecant row. And I would just keep doing it. I'd keep typing these values in, and it would keep generating them. So cosecant would be sine to the negative 1. Secant would be cosine to the negative 1. So whatever values I have in cosine, I would type them in and put x to the negative 1. Cotangent would be tangent to the negative 1. And that'll generate this entire row. And hopefully that's enough information for you to get a perfect score on your final.